Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am so excited to have one of my mentors, Fabienne, here talking all about how we get to work with our nature and structure our business and our life in a way that really works well for us, while also allowing us to be well paid and to live an amazing life, making a difference in the lives of others that we're really meant to serve. So Fabienne, thank you so much for being here. It is truly my honor to be able to have this conversation with you.
Oh, I was just going to say the same thing. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you that don't know, Fabienne is a business mentor. She, again, is my business mentor. She has over 20 years mentoring thousands of women in her Bold Heart program. And I'm just so excited to have her share her little gems of wisdom and how you get to do this in a way that also lights you up and makes the impact in the world that you want to make. So Fabienne, tell me, or would you mind sharing, women really struggle to do all of the things, to balance all the things, right? Like we're moms, we're wives, we're business owners, we've got friends, and yet, and there's this cultural entrainment that we have to be super women and juggle little balls and do all the things. Could you speak into that a little bit for us of how we can actually transform our lives and our businesses to actually work for us instead of feeling like we're always behind the eight ball?
Yeah, and I could honestly do a full day on just this. I love that we started with this question because we are socialized to be people pleasers, to put the needs of others before our own. And we're socialized as women to not say no, because a woman who says no, we could call her some words, which are we're not going to use today, but there is this big hesitance for women to feel that they are worthy enough to put their needs first. And I believe deeply, and this is why my company is called Bold Heart, is because I believe that the more that we women can put our ear to our heart and listen hard for what is our truth, what is our passion, what is it that we want, and then we boldly go after that bold heart, we create a life, we create a business on our own terms. So I've been talking for a long time about your business your way, but also your life your way. And part of that is taking up more space and saying no much more often. It's not because somebody asks us to do something that we have to do it. And yet, it's hard to say no, right? This is one of the things I teach this in the leverage your time activator of my program. There's a whole section on saying no. And there are a lot of tears that come up because it's really hard to not be liked. So in business, what I have found is the more we can say no to the 80% of things, if you think about the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, if we can say no to the 80% of things that only bring in 20% of results, we have just saved ourselves so much time to be more strategic. And in our personal life, if we will to look at, the things that we are being asked to do, whether it's in parenting or the neighborhood or the school system or things like that, I've noticed that a lot of us say yes to things simply because we're asked and not because we actually want to.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Absolutely. One of the things that I've learned to do is to simply just say, you know what, thank you so much for asking. And this just isn't going to work for me right now. But I really appreciate you thinking of me. And instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to say yes, I've got to do this thing. And then that, what we're saying yes to is taking away from the things that are going to give us that freedom in our life and our business as well.
Absolutely. I actually, if I may share how I teach to do this in the program, I call it the Big Fig sandwich. And I hope that it's useful for our lovely ladies listening in today. The Big Fig sandwich is a way to deliver, to set a boundary and to deliver that kind of bad news while still being really elegant and charming, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
the big is begin in gratitude. Just like you said, thank you so much for asking me. I'm really honored that you thought of me first. Just kind of the gratitude piece, then deliver the bad news in the kindest way possible. And by the way, we never have to explain why. And then the fig is finish in gratitude. I know you'll find somebody fantastic who has, more time for this, or anyway, again, I think you're amazing. Your project is amazing. I'm not the one for it, but thank you so much. And that once women start to give themselves permission to use this big fig sandwich, however crazy that sounds, then setting all these boundaries sets up a life and a business that is so much more strategic as opposed to reactionary.
Oh, so good. Yeah. And I find, I don't know if you, started this way too, but I found myself, when I first started setting these boundaries, saying, I'm sorry. And there's nothing for us, just like you said, we don't need to explain why. There's nothing for us to be sorry about either. Like, we as women are like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry for me. I'm sorry for this. And I'm like, we just get to take that out of our vocabulary.
I'll tell you this, Chris, for 14 years, I did 21 3-day events.
Wow.
With hundreds and hundreds of women at each event. So I've seen tens of thousands of women come through my ballrooms. And I will tell you that women come up to the mic in a way that men don't. And they'll apologize for being nervous, for their appearance, for the way they sound, or they will contort, is that a word? To fit themselves around the mic, where a guy will just move the mic or take the mic off. And it's this, this way of showing up in business with this apology, with this, I am not enough, that really affects how much they make. And so the bold heart piece is also about, honestly, part of my work. I know this sounds crazy. I mean, I'll teach you how to make, $100,000 a month. And part of it is owning your brilliance and feeling deserving and worthy, and no longer saying the words, I'm sorry. Or I know I'm taking up a lot of time, or something like that. There's a lot of that goes around. We move that out of the way, and women show up much more confidently in their business, and they are taken more seriously by other people when they do.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't see men apologizing for saying, so we don't even see men apologizing for investing in their own business, right? Like, if I see this a lot in spouses, in partnerships, right? Where it's, well, if the husband was to say, well, I'm just going to invest this money in my business over here, it wouldn't be a second thought. But yet somehow when women are like, they ask permission to invest in their business versus us seeing it. No, this is like, I'm not taking money out of the grocery budget. Like, this is an investment that is going to help me exponentially grow my business. And yet there is this cultural entrainment that we've got all around us that, sees that as somehow not okay.
Yeah, and that's actually the big why behind Bold Heart. Is the big why is the reason for being of my coaching program is for women to make their own money, and lots of it. And here's the reason why. When a woman makes her own money and lots of it, that's when she has a voice. That's when she has a choice, because we're on this cultural conversation here. What I've noticed over the last 20 years is that when a woman makes less, she feels that she doesn't have the last say. So whoever makes the most in a situation has the last say. So this is why a woman often feels, this is cultural, I don't know what, why it is, but she has to feel like she must get permission. And I'll tell you this, the first time that I invested a really big amount of money in coaching, and I hope, judge me if you will, but I spent $100,000 in 1 year with one coach. Amazing. And I'd gone to an event, and I came back and I signed up for the $100,000 program. And my husband said, how was it? I was like, great, I signed up for coaching. And he said, you did? I was like, yeah, I'm really excited. This is going to help me a lot in my business. I'm going to get a great return. He said, how much was it? I said, it's a lot. And 15,000? Oh, no, more. 25,000? Oh, no, more. He said, how much? And I said, 100,000. I hadn't called him. I
Yep.
didn't ask for permission. I gave myself permission.
Yeah.
And I said, watch me do this. Watch me 10x my investments.
Mm-hmm.
And I did.
Yes.
In 9 months,
Yes.
but I didn't need to go, please, honey, can I please have this for myself? It was, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I love that. I did something very similar with my husband, although I was investing $25,000 and not 100. That was the first big bite, that when I invested in my business. And when I told him that, he nearly fell out of his chair, like he was sitting at the table. And I also wasn't like, and I need his permission. Like, this is my business. And he really, he's like, you'll figure it out. You'll do it. I'm grateful that I have a partner who was 100%, supportive of me. And I did. Not only did I figure it out, but I make probably anywhere between 6 to 8 more times more money than he does when I first started out. And he's totally okay with that. So he's like, yeah, you just go ahead and you just
go ahead. That's
whatever
right.
you want now. You just do the thing.
And let's say this, right? Let's say if we're going to make that kind of investment in ourselves, and I'll say, I don't know anybody who makes very, very good money as a woman in business who hasn't significantly invested in herself. So if we're going to talk about what does it take, what's the structure for our nature, what do we need as a woman to be able to start making 10K a month consistently, 20K, 50K, 100K, a million or more in your business? There isn't anyone, and I meet thousands of people every year, there isn't anyone who is able to do it without investing in themselves, ourselves. So this is actually a big deal, is to feel comfortable. The first time I heard about a $15,000 investment in a year, all my money issues came up, and I was like, they want what? Are you serious? They want that much? And I said no. Mm-hmm. And one of my friends said yes and joined the program. And she rapidly grew her business to 50K a month. And here I was seething in resentment. I'm showing you my non-spiritual side, right? Like all my issues, all my comparison monster stuff came up. And after I got over that, I just looked at it. The facts were, she said yes, I said no. So what I did was 2 years later, I joined the same program. And very, very quickly, I learned all the things that I didn't know about growing a business, because this is why you invest in yourself. There are people who know things you have no access to in everyday life unless you invest in yourself. I also learned the mindset, but I'll tell you, one of the greatest things that I learned was the belief that it was possible. And this is why I believe that every single woman must find a way to get herself in a program. I know it sounds funny because I offer a program, so I'm not saying come to mine, just any program.
Yes.
In program, because even forget the learning, just being in a room, even if the room is virtual on Zoom, being in a room with dozens, if not hundreds of other people who are on the path to making much more of an impact in their business, much more of an income and profit. Being in a room like that is what stretches your mindset to believe that it's possible for yourself. And I have come to call it the popcorn effect. And I'd like to share it with you.
Please, yes.
The popcorn effect is, I've noticed in Bold Heart, when a woman first comes in, sometimes she's a little hesitant, especially if she's not invested in herself before. And she'll look around, she's like, oh, all these great ladies are here and we're all learning and it's so cool. And imagine that she's a popcorn kernel. When you make popcorn, and not like a Jiffy Pop, and a thing that you have to shake, but you actually put the kernels in the oil with the pot on the stove. Yes. You'll notice that within 1 minute, usually 60 seconds, the first pop comes up. And that's what happens when, let's say a woman says, oh, she'll see like a woman pop. And what I mean by that, it's either the woman is making her first 10K month that she's ever made, or she just had her first $100,000 launch, or it's a woman who got to $1 million for the first time. And when she realizes that she's in this pot, if you will, with all these women inside, pop, 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 it does something to her belief in herself and her mindset that, wait a minute, like these women are just like me. And I could be standing next to them in the grocery store, and I would have no idea that she's making $1 million. She's so accessible, so approachable. It starts to make a neural pathway in the brain that says, if she can do it, so can I, especially if it just happens all the time. And so this is one of the reasons why, forget just the strategy, forget the coaching, just being in an environment, an intentional community of other women who have decided to put skin in the game and put their investment where their goals are, changes you on a fundamental level, almost like a cellular level. It's almost impossible to not succeed when you're in that kind of environment.
Absolutely. I 100% agree that I know that's true for me. And even just being inside of the leverage program myself and being surrounded by other women takes you up a notch. I talk about get yourself in the room with other people that are doing things in a way that you also want to be doing them.
Yeah.
Like, choose some place that you've got support, some place where you can learn what it is that you don't know, right? And have someone that can help you navigate those nuances. Really, we can be given all the information, but navigating how to actually implement those pieces is so powerful. And when you see others in community, we all learn from each other, right? Even if you come to a call and you don't have anything specific, you've just heard from multiple other people and have questions answered that you didn't even know that you had.
Exactly right. And this whole idea of being in an intentional community versus the accidental community of your neighbors, your family, your friends from school. I've just experienced this myself, and I've seen it happen to so many women. We don't want to take our goals, our problems to our accidental community, because they will be like the crabs of the bucket. You know about the crabs in the bucket, where if one crab tries to get out and make something of herself, all the other crabs will bring her down, because it's inconvenient in your accidental community for the others, for you to get to $1 million, because it changes everything for them. And they'll feel left behind, or who does she think she is? So it doesn't mean ditch your friends in your accidental community. Just have an intentional community where a rising tide lifts all boats, where when you win, I win, and where it's almost like, instead of playing, when you play Monopoly with your kids, one person's going to win. But when you are in the right community, we're all winning at this game, because I'm going to give you my script and you're going to give me, belief in myself when I've, had a bad day and etc. And we all kind of, however cheesy it sounds, be the wind in our sails to lift us up where we belong.
I love that song. And yeah, absolutely. And I want to just kind of circle back around just to this, piece, because I think women do so well in community, talking about the difference between a masculine and a feminine energy as it relates to growing our business. Women do so well in community. And, I think that men are also in their own communities for sure. I mean, I think anybody that wants to, create an incredible business needs to have that support for sure. But I think that women especially thrive in community and being a part of something larger than themselves that does help them lift them up and does help them see what's possible for them that they couldn't see before.
Yeah. Well, the
But
masculine energy is a very solo energy, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Me, if you think about, if you've ever been to a Tony Robbins event, it's like, it's like, you're all wiring to like walk on those coals. In a feminine energy is not a solo energy. It's a tribal energy, a collaborative energy. And whereby in society, there's this subtle mocking of the fact that the feminine needs to talk things through. For business, the oxytocin that we feel when we are in community, especially with other women business owners, actually gives us the confidence to go out there and do the things that are hard. We need a place to talk things through without anybody fixing us. And often women will coach themselves. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but just in talking through it, we're like, okay, good. I'm done now. I'm making this decision.
Oh my gosh, yes. You just pinpointed me. I'll leave a message for, my book coach. And I'm like, oh, by the time I finish the, 3-minute message on Boxer, I've got my answer. Absolutely. That's beautiful.
It's part of the structure that we need for our entrepreneurial nature that you can't get. Hey, listen, I sound like, I love the men. I've been in practically all the male masterminds. I got a lot out of it. Obviously, I've been at multiple 7 figures for 14 years now, right? I got a lot out of them, but they weren't made for me.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you for saying that, because I think that sometimes women do feel like, oh, I have to do it this way, and I've got to do it this masculine way, and I have to do it with aggressive sales tactics, and I have to do it with trying to convince or persuade people. And you really don't. There is absolutely, and I find it actually more effective when I follow what is a match for me and what feels an alignment for me in a way that cultivates and nurtures relationships and allows people to then naturally take the next step. And so, finding there are places to find that support in a way that matches how you want to do things, for sure.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's just looking up the ladder. Who is 10 times bigger, if you will, than you are, with grace and compassion for yourself? Just look up who's up the ladder that fits both the kind of vision, values, and lifestyle results that you want, that you feel like you can really connect with. And when you find him, study everything that about them, in the sense of, if they have a book, read it. If they have a social media account, absorb it. If they have a program, invest in it, stay in it again and again and again, because that is really the fastest path to exponential growth that feels authentic.
Absolutely. This idea of also staying in it for many years, I think, is important to just touch base on here, because staying in community and staying dialed in on learning a methodology or a system doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen, we need to stay in community for years, several years, so that you can hone and master and learn the methodology and learn the way and navigate it in a way that works really well for you, until you get it working like a well-oiled machine. And so I'm so glad that you talked about that, because I see so many messages out there on, make passive income while you sleep, make $1 million overnight, where somehow you're not effective if you don't make 6 figures in,
a weekend.
Country. Oh yeah, a weekend, right?
It's like dinner thighs in 30 days, make $1 million.
Yeah,
listen,
right.
I appreciate the marketing. Okay. Yeah. I get it. But I will say this, people who talk that way when talking about their programs are doing themselves a disservice. They may grow fast, but peak early. And I've been in the business for 20 plus years. I have learned to say, it's going to take a while. Yeah. And this is not the message that other people are saying. And some people say, what do you mean you have a 2-year program? I said, well, you can do 1 year, but we make it affordable at 2 years because there's a lot for us to do to get to get you from, let's say, 8K a month to 100K a month. We've got to leverage your team, leverage your systems, leverage your time, your business model, all the things, hire a second in command. It's not going to happen in a weekend. And it's okay. And what I've heard people say is, thank you for being honest. And thank you for telling me that it's going to take a while. And thank you for telling me not to implement everything in 1 year because my adrenals will give out. And thank you for giving me, and thank you for giving me a place where I can exhale and be like, okay, so this is my home for the next 2 years. And everybody is here for 2 years, sometimes even more. And we're doing this together. We have the relationships that form. It's not like you're bopping from, one program to another and readjusting. It's like you make yourself at home, you follow the plan, you get the accountability, you get the coaching, you get the mindset, you get the strategy, and it's like, okay, I don't have to start looking for my next program after 6 weeks.
Yes. Yes.
And may I share how with our lovely listeners how to get people to stay for a few years? Would that be helpful in the time that we have?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
If you can ask, if you're going to create a program, the way to make it easy for people to want to stay with you for years is to give them results they can't get elsewhere. But that's not the only thing. You want to have them feel something that they can't feel elsewhere. And the way you do that is simply by saying, okay, who is my ideal client? What's their biggest struggle? And what's their biggest aspiration? And then ask yourself, how do I need to reverse engineer their greatest aspiration so that they can practically guarantee that 100% of them, when they show up, when they put the work in place, will get the results. And it takes a while to come up with that. But once you can provide that value creation that no one else in your marketplace has, you park that there. That's the reliable results process. And when you start thinking about the fact that most people, I've never asked anybody, could you use some more love in your life? And somebody answers no. Everybody wants more love, wants more significance, wants to be seen, wants to be heard, wants to feel super special and cared for. And when you can make somebody feel that way in your program, because not everybody feels loved at home. That's super sad to say. But people go where they are loved. People stay where they are loved. And so when you can provide that feeling of total inclusion and caring, plus the reliable results, people don't want to leave. They may go and see what if the grass is greener for a year or two, and then they'll come back.
That is so beautiful, Fabienne. It's so true. It really is. It's beautiful. I think that is the magic. I think that's the magic.
And it's elegant and it's feminine, and it's not about coercing or convincing. It's about just delivering with love.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. I do want to just let everybody know that Fabienne's book, she has been so generous in gifting a free copy of this book. Holy cow. You guys, I have got this dog-eared, underlined, marked. This book, you need to get this book. You absolutely need to get this book if you are thinking about how to leverage your time and your energy in your business. Fabienne, will you just share a little bit about this before we sign off for today? Because
I'll tell you. Okay, so The Leveraged Business is the book, and it took me 8 years to write it, because this was one of the things that I said, I'm actually going to strategically put everything in the book. I mean, there's lots more, but in the sense of what can be in a book. And it's all about how to go from overwhelmed at 6 figures to 7 figures with 14 to 16 weeks of vacation unplugged per year. And the reason I'm making it for free, available for free on boldheart.com, is because I'm super straightforward about this. My intention is that the right women read the book and say, oh my gosh, if she can give me this much value, results in advance, I want to work with her. I mean, I'm being super, transparent. It's not for everybody, but the whole idea of results in advance to get you to 6 figures a month is what this book is all about. And so if anybody here wants to get it, they can go to boldheart.com. It's a $2.95 shipping, and that's just so that you can meet me halfway.
Yeah, and you get the whole book. You get the real book. This is not like a digital
mail. Yeah,
like it's the real thing. Amazing. Fabienne, this has been so incredible. I really appreciate your wisdom, your encouragement, your inspiration, your love for sharing everything that you did here today for our community. And everybody, don't forget, you can click inside of the event hub. We'll have the link for you so that you can go ahead and grab the Leverage Business. It's amazing. Fabienne, is there anything else that you would like to share before we close today?
Oh, I'll say this. There has never been anyone in 13.7 billion years like you. There's nobody like you now, and there will never be anybody like you again. And I believe that each and every one of us has a song to sing, and that our duty is to sing it far and wide. Otherwise, the song will never be heard again. So you are worthy of growing your business, your impact, and taking your purpose to the world, and do whatever you can to make that happen.
So good. Thank you. Okay, everybody, we will see you back here on the next interview inside of our design module. Thank you for being here. Again, go grab the book, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.